So the doubt that Chandra has asked is about how many questions should one be attempting in paper. She feels that she has been doing UPSC previous year papers only as mock, and in those papers she is attempting around 60 to 70 questions and is getting more than 100 marks. She's clearing cutoff that ways, but she feels that because none of the toppers is saying that you may attempt even this number 60 to 70, she is anxious that whether this is actually the right thing to do, or should she attempt more number of questions, maybe in the 80s 90s range. Chandra, is this your question?
Yes, sir.
All right, Prabha, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, Chandra, very important question. Thank you for the entire community. Just want to address the first part. You said it doesn't matter when you came to know about me or sir. Have faith in your own preparation and you will do really well. Okay, that's the first disclaimer. The second thing we want to talk about, and I have to be very responsible when I say this, is the number of questions to attempt. I'll give you a very quick anecdote here. The main theory, the main statement I want to make is that, again, it is a very unique strategy of your own that you, all of you will figure out based on your simulations. I will show you using screen share. I will show you how I did it. How did I find my sweet spot range? I will do that. But for evidence on this, I will tell you that I recently did a topper's talk on a platform with another topper, Rishikesh Thakre, AIR 224. And we were discussing live. And he said that for him, he had to attempt more than 85 questions. And the opposite case was in my case where I had to attempt lesser than 85. So you can see two rankers here, both had different strategies. So that's the evidence. But how do we really find out what number or what sweet spot ranges for you? Sir, I think I'm allowed to share. So you'll have to enable the screen share. I'm hoping that.
Try now.
Hanji. I'm hoping that everybody is doing simulations, just as sir mentioned. So this is visible, not 2023 mock. So this is data that I used to send
Guys, please ensure that your mics are muted. Yeah.
Okay. So I used to send this data regularly, and this is from my actual PYQ simulations. I had done multiple rounds. So some of this accuracy data is higher. It will actually be lower when there are new questions. And I used to penalize myself for that. I'll let you know how I used to do that. But if you see here, this data here, so round one total, I used to attempt my paper in 3 rounds. You might do it in 2 rounds or more. That is your unique strategy. I would do it in 3 rounds. I would note down how many questions I did totally in round 1. How many of them did I get right, correct? And how many of them did I get wrong? Then I would calculate accuracy. Accuracy would be calculated as total number of questions that you get right divided by the total number of questions you attempted. And based on this, and you'll do the same thing for the different rounds that you take. Now you'll see that the accuracy numbers are dropping, right? From round 1 to round 2 to round 3, your accuracy numbers will drop. Based on this, I would get an average accuracy. So my average accuracy was 80%. Based on this, what I did is I calculated that, okay, if my accuracy is 80%, if I attempt a minimum of 75 questions, that would leave me with 60 questions that would be correct and the 15 would be wrong. And this would be my total score. Again, if maximum I would do 85, this would be my total score. But what happens is throughout the rounds, then your accuracy dips. This was my case. So what happened is by the end of it, I had, just 1 second, I'll just show you to you on a blank slide. Okay. So by the end of this, I had a sweet spot range of 75 to 80 questions. Now, what happened in 2023, and this is related to Chandra Kirutuga's question. Sorry, I might pronounce your name wrong. But what happened in 2023 is that the paper was very difficult, right? And all of you know this. Now, if it's difficult, it will be difficult for all of us. So what happened is I could only attempt 78 questions. Okay. Now, what may happen if you don't know your strength and your strength areas, you may panic. I could have panicked at this stage thinking that I've only attempted 78 questions. But the thing was, because I had done simulations and I knew what my sweet spot range is, I told myself that it's a difficult paper. You know that you are safe if you are in this range. Just attempt 78. Do not take unnecessary risk. This was my case. I also want to give another very important case here of my 2022 prelims, where Chandra, I attempted, I think, only 65 questions. Okay. Now, again, I will not say this as a formula, because even with 65 questions, I missed my cutoff by around 2 marks for 2022 prelims. But do we really want to be in such a dangerous zone where it's hanging by a very thin margin? So that is one thing. Now, Chandra, from what I know in my case, if I was in your, like if I could go back, I would actually increase this number. But again, you have to test this out. You have to find your accuracy and you really have to figure out what to do. What you can, another thing you can do is try to, now there are two things that we can do, right? We can be too scared and we can be extra risk averse than needed. And what that means is we attempt lesser number of questions, which keeps us very close to the cutoff that is needed. Or we become very risky and we take much more higher risks and we need a negative figure. We have to avoid both these extremes. We have to take the middle path here, but you have to find your sweet spot range using simulations. One thing I can tell you is there will be gift questions. Now, sir used to train us to identify low-hanging fruits. What you have to make sure is that you are not getting scared to mark the bubble if it's a low-hanging fruit. Right? This also used to happen to me because I was an overthinker. I used to overthink a lot. And even simple questions like, I'll tell you, without sir's training, what had happened is I was not even attempting simple gift questions like this one. I'll tell you, which one was it? So here, overthinking, I'll show you the proof for that. This one, we may be too scared and overthink how? Because, and this would be me in 2022. If this question came in 2022, I would not attempt it. You know why? And it's very silly. I would think that why will UPSC give us such an easy question? Why? UPSC is supposed to give difficult questions. Why will it give such an easy question? And even though this is screaming out to us, there's a very simple common sense logic to it that for tools, you need opposable thumbs. And which animal out of these is closest to humans? These are the two common sense questions you have to ask yourself. And I would have done the entire processing of this, but in 2022, I would have not attempted it thinking that UPSC does not give such easy questions, right? Which is wrong. So here is where you be very scared and you do not take the necessary risk that is needed. At the same time, do not take extra risk. I'm just using some examples to show you what happens. And Chandra, you might be in the same zone. You might, because you're only attempting 65, you just need to test out one thing. Are you being risk averse? Are you taking less risk even in questions that are absolute gifts? Can you test that for us? Can you actually check that?
Yes.
Why I got the confidence. Now, why do I get the confidence in 2023 was because based on sir's guidance to me, I did PYQs very well. I knew that UPSC gives gift questions. It gives us low-hanging fruits, right? So based on that, with confidence, I marked it over. So I didn't overthink. So in your case, just check, are you being extra risk averse and just check your main range. And for everyone else who's listening, check if you're being too risky or if you're being risk averse as well. Basically, that is some of the things I wanted to share with you and what next steps you can take to find your sweet spot range. And when you decide that, okay, these are the questions you want to take, two things will happen. On the day of the exam, the paper will be slightly difficult and there could be a shock, right? So what will happen is you will have to adapt on the spot. So even then, with wisdom and a calm mind, two things. A very calm mind, tell yourself that the paper is difficult for everybody if you realize it is. And second thing, wisdom. Decide if you want to stick to your strategy or if you just want to tweak it a little based on the shock that UPSC is given. Whatever happens, do not have a very outlandish strategy and don't do something very different from what you've practiced. Tap into that subconscious. Every time you follow sir's advice and do your PYQ simulation, you are strengthening that subconscious within you. That subconscious will really help you in the storm and the shock. Tap into it. So what the summary is basically, PYQ simulations, find out what your risk appetite is, find out your zone, know that there could be shocks in the final paper, apply wisdom with a calm mind, see if you want to tweak a little bit of your strategy, but don't make a very extreme turn. Don't do that out of panic. That is what I had to say. With regards to Chandra, the other thing you need to check is, because your score is that high, even at a lower, at 65 questions, just check if there are questions you already knew out of topic-wise PYQ analyses or repetition. If that's the case, what I used to do is I would remove those questions. So my paper would be out of, let's say, 90 questions instead of 100 questions. I would just remove those questions and not count them. Okay? Very long answer, but I hope it covered a lot of different sub-components you guys need to take care of. So just, I hope.
Absolutely. Bilkul, it made perfect sense. Also, just one a small addition I would like to make. When you are doing your paper, I've made a full video on how you should attempt the paper in different rounds. I feel the paper should be attempted in at least 3 rounds. It may be more depending on your question segregation. The first round should be exclusively for the 100% knowledge based 100% accuracy questions. जो देखते ही पता चलता है, it's black and white question and it's knowledge based. Those are the easiest of the questions coming straight away from your books. So they may be 10, 12, 15 in number, whatever, depending on your preparation, depending on the difficulty of the paper. So I'm not giving you any figure to keep in mind in any of the rounds, but I'm just telling over an average experience which I have had over these years from 2011 till 2023. So when you focus only on finding these 100% accuracy questions in the first round, you at the end of the first, because these questions are very easy, you'll hardly take 10 seconds to 20 seconds to solve the question and fill the OMR. And when you are done flipping all the pages and mark these questions at the end of this round, maybe it has taken you 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and you would have done 12, 15 questions at the end of that time frame. And all of those are correct. All of those are correct. So this is one way of increasing your confidence in an otherwise stressful paper. It's extremely important that you are choosing the easiest of the questions, the 100% accuracy questions only in the first round, because you want to have that confidence. Once you have the confidence, then you can do the other easy questions, but which require a little bit of application of mind, a little bit of recalling of facts, those kind of questions. So we are normally we say that about 30 to 35 odd questions are there which can be done with knowledge. Those are the easy questions which can be done with knowledge. So we've just broken these 30 to 35 questions in maybe 10, 12 questions in round one, and maybe 20 to 25 odd questions in the second round. So they are all easy questions, but we have still segregated them in 100% accuracy questions and maybe 80%, 85% accuracy questions in round two. And correspondingly, the time given in round one is maximum 30 seconds per question. If it is taking more than 30 seconds, just leave the question, move ahead. And in round two, you can take up to 1 minute per question. So with 80% accuracy, you'll get. So when you practice this, when you do the PYQ simulations, practice this strategy. Then in the third round, you'll do slightly more, advanced questions. They may need a little bit of medium level elimination, logical thinking, also like those kind of questions. And then more, like it's the segregation which will matter. As you go through the rounds, more and more difficult questions will be coming more and more at the end, like the advanced rounds. So doing this from easiest to difficult questions, it is going to secure a confident mind. And the problem is actually if you do some question which is of maybe round 3 or round 2, you are doing it in round 1. So that question requires maybe 1.5 to 2 minutes to process and solve, but you are doing it in a round which gives you only 30 seconds to solve that question. And also there is no chance of any error, that there must be 100% accuracy. So that is where doing the wrong question in the wrong round, if you do a more difficult question in the first round or initially itself, that will hit your confidence. And if 2-3 such questions are there in a row, your confidence will, you will end up losing your confidence. So it's extremely important that you choose the right questions, the easiest of the questions in the first round, and gradually you increase the difficulty level of the questions with the rounds that you're doing. I've made a full video on this. Please watch that video. So that will be all from my side. Anything related to this particular question before I stop this questions recording? Poonam?
Yes, sir. Hi.
Yes.
So I have a doubt. I have a
just
query.
just just a second. People have raised their
Sure.
hands. I'll have to go to them first. Please raise your hand and I'll come to you. Abhishek. Chandra, is your doubt clear?
Good evening,
Yes,
sir.
Chandra, is your
yes,
doubt
sir.
clear?
My doubt regarding GS is very clear. Thank you so much
Yeah.
to
So
both of
please,
you for solving my doubt. Now, one more query I have. My last query. I have two queries. One query is regarding CSET, sir.
Chandra,
In
Chandra, I would like to interrupt you here.
Hello.
We have people who have raised their hands. If
okay,
any doubt is there related to your first doubt, I'll just sum them up in one video and then we'll come to the other doubt. Abhishek.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. go ahead.
Sir, actually, last year, I cleared prelims, like, sir, but my score was not very good. Like, I scored 84 marks, but sir, I got many questions wrong, which I thought that I could do right. And so this year, I think my preparation is not that strong because I didn't read that much that I read last year. So there is a fear that I'll not be able to score